Aries, August 10th begins with an energy that feels unusually personal. The cards suggest that today is less about chasing something and more about recognizing what is already standing in front of you. There is a decision, a realization, or perhaps a conversation that may quietly change the way you see the next chapter of your life. You may wake up feeling that something is different, even if you cannot immediately explain why. There is a strong sense of awareness around you today. You may notice details that you normally overlook. A person's tone may tell you more than their words. A delayed message may suddenly make sense. Something you've been questioning may begin to reveal its true meaning. And the tarot has one important message for you today. Don't ignore what your intuition already knows. You've been trying to understand a situation logically, Aries. You've looked at every side. You've considered what could happen. You've imagined different outcomes. But today, your heart may give you an answer that your mind has been unable to find. This could be connected to love, work, money, or a personal decision. You don't have to act immediately. You simply have to listen. There is something about August 10th that encourages you to stop forcing clarity and allow it to arrive naturally. A conversation may happen today that you've been waiting for. Someone may finally say what they've been keeping inside. Or you may finally find the courage to say what you've been afraid to admit. And once those words are spoken, you may realize that the uncertainty was actually more painful than the truth. In love, the energy is especially strong. If you're in a relationship, today may reveal what your partner truly needs from you emotionally. Perhaps they have been trying to appear stronger than they feel. Perhaps they need reassurance but haven't known how to ask for it. Don't assume silence means distance. Sometimes people become quiet because they don't know how to express what is happening inside them. A gentle conversation could change the entire mood between you. If there has been tension recently, don't approach the situation looking for someone to blame. Approach it looking for understanding. You may discover that the two of you have been fighting about the surface of a problem while the real issue was something much deeper. Maybe one of you feels ignored. Maybe one feels unappreciated. Maybe there is fear about the future. Say it. Let the truth enter the relationship. For single Aries, August 10th carries an interesting possibility. Someone may unexpectedly attract your attention today. It may not be a dramatic encounter. It could be a simple conversation, a message, comment, a meeting through work, or someone you have seen before suddenly behaving differently toward you. The cards suggest that there is potential for a connection that begins quietly. Don't judge it too quickly. You don't need fireworks to know something is meaningful. Sometimes the strongest connections begin with a feeling of comfort. And if someone from the past appears today, be careful not to confuse familiarity with destiny. Ask yourself whether you truly want that person back, or whether you're simply curious about what could have been. The answer matters, because August 10th is not about returning to old cycles. It is about recognizing them. Career matters may also bring an important development. Something you've been waiting to hear about could finally begin moving. A response. An opportunity. A conversation with someone influential. A change in responsibilities. Or an idea that suddenly looks more realistic than it did before. The cards suggest that someone may be noticing your abilities. You may not realize how closely your work is being observed. Your consistency matters. The way you handle pressure matters. The way you continue when things become difficult matters. Today, don't underestimate yourself simply because you haven't received recognition yet. Sometimes recognition comes after the decision has already been made behind the scenes. If you've been thinking about changing your career, don't make a rushed decision based on frustration. Instead, look for the opening. August 10th may bring information that helps you understand which direction is actually worth pursuing. Financially, the energy is about control. You may realize that something needs to change in the way you manage money. Perhaps you've been spending too much on things that give temporary satisfaction. Perhaps you've been helping someone financially without considering your own needs. Or perhaps you have a goal but haven't created a clear plan for reaching it. Today is a good day to become honest about your financial situation. Not fearful. Honest. Look at the numbers. Look at your priorities. Ask yourself what kind of financial life you want 6 months from now. The tarot suggests that a small decision made today could eventually become much more important than you expect. You don't need to become wealthy overnight. You need to become consistent, and consistency can change everything. There is also an emotional message around someone who has been draining your energy. You may finally recognize that you have been giving too much attention to a person who gives very little back. Maybe you've been trying to understand them. Maybe you've been waiting for them to change. Maybe you've been making excuses for their behavior. But today, something may become obvious. You cannot change someone who doesn't want to change. You can only decide what you will accept. And that realization may bring a strange kind of peace. You don't need to fight. You don't need revenge. You don't even need an explanation. You can simply step back. Sometimes distance is the answer. The cards also suggest that today could bring a powerful moment of self-realization. You may suddenly understand why a previous opportunity disappeared, why a relationship ended, why a certain person never gave you the answer you wanted, why something you've been chasing never worked. It may not have been punishment. It may have been redirection. You were being pushed away from something that no longer matched who you are becoming. And perhaps August 10th is the day you finally stop asking, "Why didn't it work?" and begin asking, "What is waiting for me now?" That question changes everything, because your attention is powerful. Where you place it becomes the direction of your life. If you spend all day looking backward, you miss what is approaching. Today, turn around. Look forward. There may be an opportunity closer than you think. Family energy also feels important. Someone close to you may need your presence more than your advice. You don't have to solve their problem. You may simply need to listen. And Aries, remember something today. You don't have to be the strongest person in every room. You can simply be present. You can say, "I understand." You can say, "I'm here." Sometimes those words mean more than any solution. As the day progresses, you may notice your emotions becoming calmer. A situation that felt confusing in the morning may make more sense by evening. A conversation may provide closure. A message may arrive. Or perhaps nothing external happens, but something inside you settles. And that internal peace is important, because not every answer arrives through another person. Sometimes the answer is simply the moment when you stop needing one. That could be your biggest lesson today. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everyone to approve of your choices. You don't need someone from the past to admit they were wrong. You don't need to prove your value. You know who you are. And that is enough. August 10th also carries a message about courage. There is something you've been afraid to begin. Maybe a project, a conversation, career move, personal change, or perhaps simply the decision to put yourself first. Don't wait until fear disappears. Fear may stay. Courage means moving while fear is still there. But move wisely. Take one step. You don't need to take the entire journey today. One phone call. One message. One application. One conversation. One decision. That's enough. By the end of the day, you may feel that something has shifted. Not necessarily because your circumstances have completely changed, but because your relationship with those circumstances has changed. You may no longer feel trapped. You may realize you have options. You may realize you can say no. You may realize you can start again. And perhaps most importantly, you may realize that your future is still completely open. Aries, don't underestimate the importance of August 10th. Some days arrive quietly but leave a permanent mark. This could be one of those days. A truth may be revealed. A connection may deepen. A door may open, another may finally close, and something inside you may whisper, "It's time to move forward." Listen to that voice. You don't need to know exactly where the road leads. You simply need to know that you are no longer willing to remain where you have outgrown. Tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself one question. What am I ready to choose for myself now? Not what your family wants. Not what your partner wants. Not what your friends expect. Not what your past tells you to do. What do you want? The answer may be surprisingly simple. Peace. Love. Freedom. Security. A fresh beginning. Whatever it is, don't dismiss it. Because the Tarot's message for Aries on August 10th is not about waiting for destiny to make the decision for you. It is about recognizing that you are part of your own destiny. Your choices matter. Your boundaries matter. Your courage matters. Your intuition matters. And today, one small choice could begin a chain of events that leads somewhere you never expected. So Aries, don't chase what keeps running away. Don't hold on to what has already ended. Don't silence what your heart is trying to tell you. And don't be afraid of the new simply because the old is familiar. August 10th carries a different energy. A quieter energy. A wiser energy. An energy that says, you have already learned the lesson. Now it's time to use it. And perhaps when this day is over, you won't have every answer. But you may finally have something even more valuable. You may know which direction to walk.